the force of liberty would need a new champion, someone worthy to wield this anger.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. Glad to have you here with us live today, and some who might be listening later. Online, you're watching me, AP for Liberty. If you're watching us anywhere but on Rumble or Locals, shame on you. No, just kidding. I put it out there for you to watch, but I'd love it if you join us over at rumble.com/AP for Liberty over on our Locals page at For Liberty Network. Tonight, Culturama, starring Daniela Penny. Don't miss it. Week 2 of Culturama and Liberty Tonight, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Culturama, 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time. And don't forget the Liberty Tonight Boys. Thursday nights, 9 to 11 p.m. Central Time. We're going to watch all the For Liberty Network shows, right, guys? We're going to have a great show today. We're going to make beef tallow great again. Donald Trump stirred up the debate about beef tallow when he worked at McDonald's for 15 minutes the other day in an epic publicity stunt. People were asking Robert F. Kennedy Jr. what did he think of Donald Trump's stunt, noting that he is trying to make America healthy again, dang it. He says seed oils are bad. We should go back to frying our French fries in beef tallow. Vegetarians be like,
Oh, God! No, God, please, no!
no! I say yes. Man, don't you guys remember? I remember being a little kid, and I remember being a little kid with my cousins, Jensen, Christian, and Anton, at the McDonald's in Raymore, Missouri, or maybe it was Belton at the time, the Belton McDonald's. And the French fries were so dang good. This would have been like 1988 or something like that. The French fries were so dang good that I remember we were like, we could just eat the French fries. I could just eat a bag of French fries. We're like, cheeseburgers, they're great. But the French fries were just so amazing. It was because they cooked it in beef fat. It wasn't vegetarian. It was delicious. So we're going to talk about that this morning. Mark Cuban makes an offer to the Trump administration that they should refuse. Who loved the headline there on the show today? Elon Trump Cuban sandwich.
I can first.
I'm not that clever. Oh no, it was a publicity stunt, says Camellia. You really think that Donald Trump would just do that a presidential candidate would do that? Just go out there and just do a publicity stunt? No.
Oh, God!
They would never do that. Mark Cuban says that he is for America first. He would be willing to work with the Trump administration. I think they're seeing some kind of internal polling. Take a listen.
What's best for the country. That's what I care about. And look, let me just add, if Trump wins, last time when he won, he asked me to help on healthcare, on PPE. I sat with Peter Navarro and helped him come up with a mask company and help them grow. And that was all domestic production. I'll do the same thing. I'm America first. First, that's the wrong way to put it. I am what's best for this country. Country over party. Country.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Now listen, I want what's best for this country too, and if that means that Mark Cuban has to do some kind of a job despite being a shit lib that he's good at because he knows a thing or two about capitalism or economics, or he can help to spur entrepreneurship in this country, I'm all for that. Right? I do enjoy the show Shark Tank, but the lefty politics, you're going to have to leave it at the door. No. Right? No. He said he's America first. Yeah, right. Today's show is brought to you by viewers and listeners like you. It's nice to see 134 people over on Rumble. We have been the #1 show on X. for damn near every day for the last few weeks, and I'm so excited to see it. I love seeing all of our new friends and fans over there. If you're on X, do us a favor, click the heart button underneath the live stream where you're watching us. And if you enjoy the content today, hit the repost so more people can see it in their feeds. I work really hard, me and my beautiful wife, in order to bring you an incredible show that we've staked our lives, our fortune, and our sacred honor in to advance the ideas of economic freedom and personal liberty. And what cost it thee to press repost, I ask you? What cost us thee? You think that these live streams just fall out of coconut trees? You kids just don't understand.
With you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist
in the context of all of the incredible content that AP puts out for you every day. Hey, John Rail. Hi, Quest Fanning. What's up, Bucks Nasty? Says Cuban injects seed oil and microplastics. Sad he doesn't have to, because we've all got the microplastics in our balls. Oh my God, he put the microplastics in. He puts the microplastics in his balls. We'd love to have you be a regular guest on this show. It's 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. So make sure you tune in, click like, and follow. We'd love to have you be a regular guest. Most of our friends here help us to unlock bonus content. That means that if by the end of the show today we hit $60 raised through Rumble Rants, YouTube Super Chats, or purchases at forlibertyshop.com. And holiday season's coming, guys. Today's the day. Get that Christmas shopping knocked out. Head over to forlibertyshop.com. Get yourself a Javier Milei pillow of him swinging his chainsaw, a custom pillow cutout. It's not just a square pillow. It's like the pillow is cut out with him holding up the chainsaw, and the chainsaw is like cut out. You can use it to like pillow fight with people, and you like use your chainsaw on them without actually cutting their head off. And this is the IRS. Like Javier Milei has done. Javier Milei has abolished the IRS. Oh my God. No, don't get too excited. It's not our IRS. It's his IRS, which is sad for us, but happy for the Argentines. Congratulations, the lefties be mad. I'm seeing so many hit pieces on Javier Milei in the last few days. So I decided to invite my friend, my former boss at this is a long name, Atlas Economic Research Foundation in Washington, D.C. It's the international branch of the Cato Institute, some of you might know. And Alejandro Chafuen. Don't want to leave. Alejandro. Alejandro. He's going to join us at 8:30 a.m. Central Time today. Alejandro, to celebrate Javier Milei shutting down his internal revenue system and then replacing it with a much smaller institution with much less power. I love to see it. And the anarchists are like, it's going to grow, it's going to be huge. I was like, yes, we understand. It is a natural tendency for government to increase and liberty to shrink. And therefore, we must always remain vigilant while recognizing that it should be illegal to sell heroin to 5-year-olds. Sorry, anarchists.
No.
Anarchists will hear me say that and they'll be like,
no offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Want to be an anarchist, you can do what the Mennonites do. You can go down to Peru, live out in the rainforest, or be Amish. You don't have to pay any income taxes. So Camellia Peterson joins us live at 8 a.m. Central Time. I can't wait. On the campaign trail with Elon Musk, Elon Musk is offering young men an American dream. The billionaire is bringing his brand of success to Pennsylvania as he campaigns for Donald Trump. Elon Musk isn't on the ballot this November, but for some, he might as well be. We're going to speak to Camellia Peterson this morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. Doesn't it feel good to pay less taxes, that is? And all the people said, amen, hallelujah. Elon Musk, you're the best. Around, nothing's gonna ever keep you down. You're the best. Around, nothing's gonna ever keep you down. Wax on, wax off. From now on, it's gonna be America first. He's for America first, Mark Cuban says.
what's best for the country. That's what I care about. And look, let me just add, if Trump wins, last time when he won, he asked me to help on healthcare, on PPE. I sat with Peter Navarro and helped him come up with a mask company and help them grow. And that was all domestic production. I'll do the same thing. I'm America first. First, that's the wrong way to put it. I am what's best for the.
Is that the wrong way to put it? I don't think it is. I think somebody's seeing the internal polls. Is that the same Mark Cuban? Is that the same Mark Cuban that said things like this?
So when it comes to criminalizing and not criminalizing crossing the border, I mean, that is just so stark, but you view that as an evolution.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's my opinion. I'm not speaking for the campaign with this. Yeah. I thought their hearts were too big when Joe came into office, that they didn't know how many people would cross the border, and it got away from them. But they figured it out. They learned. And what did they do? He put together an executive order, and now...
I can first.
You think they were trying, they were like, You know what it was? It was Kamala. This was her big effort to try and stop them when she said,
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm going to come.
Illegal immigrants, they came. Oh, yes. It's the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. Click like and subscribe. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says fast food is a part of the American culture, but that doesn't mean it has to be unhealthy. We're talking about beef tallow this morning. Here is Donald Trump working the fryer machine. What do they call it? The fry machine at McDonald's. We talk about serious subjects, but we also like to have a lot of fun here on the Wake Up America show. I'm Austin Peterson. I'm a former Libertarian presidential candidate, a U.S. Senate candidate, memist, activist for liberty, and a Missourian. This show streams live from Jefferson City, Missouri, baby. The heart of Missouri. The heart of our nation, and we believe in the principles of economic liberty, and we believe in the Constitution, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, but I really like the 9th and 10th Amendment. If you've never read them, I highly recommend. Just a quick reminder, today is a great day to become a $17.76 a month subscriber because by Friday, it's the cutoff date. Stephanie and I, we got the Christmas card ready to go, and we're just going to finalize the list. So if you want to get on the Christmas card list this year, make sure that you sign up to become a member of Peterson's Patriots over at wakeupAmericaShow.com/support. Again, that's wakeupAmericaShow.com/support. If you head over there to our website for the show and become a monthly sustaining supporter, at a 1776 level or above, then you will get on the Peterson family Christmas card list. We took our pictures this year with little baby, of course, and it was beautiful. So thank you very much. Floby Tenderson, Barney Stiles, Nelson 65, Matt Unruh, and Diddy Leon 15. Nice to see Diddy Leon. First time here. Hikaru Kitsune Onegashimasu joining us this morning. Nice to see you here. All of our friends. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to click like. I've got Robert F. Kennedy Jr. We're talking about beef tallow this morning because of Donald Trump's trip to McDonald's as a fry cook for about 15 minutes. And now we're having a debate in this country about the relative healthiness of beef tallow versus seed oils. And I've done a bit of digging on this subject and looked up some of the history of this food trend. And we're going to have a little conversation about it this morning. I'd love to hear your thoughts on subjects like these. And the text line is open that you see at the bottom of your screen. So if you want to send a text, you can. 573-319-1586 is the text line. Go ahead and send in your texts. If you want to send in photographs, for example, of your merchandise that you're wearing from forlibertyshop.com, that's also fun too. Please don't send me pictures of your hairy ass. Speaking of here, yes. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. who says fast food is part of American culture, but that doesn't mean it has to be unhealthy and that we can't make better choices. Did you know that McDonald's used to use beef tallow to make their fries from 1940 until phasing it out in favor of seed oils in 1990? This switch was made because saturated animal fats were thought to be unhealthy, but we've since discovered that seed oils are one of the driving causes of the obesity epidemic. Interestingly enough, this began to drastically rise around the same time fast food restaurants switched from beef tallow to seed oils in their fryers. People who enjoy a burger with fries on a night out aren't to blame. That's interesting to hear somebody say something like that, especially RFK Jr. He says, and Americans should have every right to eat out at a restaurant without being unknowingly poisoned by heavily subsidized seed oils. That's a big claim. He says it's time to make frying oil tallow again. Okay, nice. And he's got this beautiful picture of his dad campaigning out at a rest stop at a diner drive-in here, and you can see his dad, Robert F. Kennedy Sr., sitting in between these two beautiful cars here. And he's got, I love it. Remember the old days when the car hop would bring you out the meal and you'd have a little tray and they would set it on the outside of your car. And look at this. I just love this vehicle. And then this picture of him, and he's got his feet up on the other side. Only a presidential candidate could get away with doing something like that with somebody being like, hey, get your feet down. You're going to scratch the paint. Boy, my dad would be like, son, what are you doing? I don't know what kind of car that is, but I really appreciate and enjoy that post. And I think I agree with the conclusion that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is making, even if I'm not sure the premise. And specifically the premise here, we're talking about saturated animal fats, right? We did used to think that they were unhealthy. And some of the confusion, I think, around the relative health of food comes in a couple of areas. One, that a lot of times many of us are working on old information, outdated information. I mean, for God's sakes, there are still people out there who think that the food pyramid that they learned about in their government schools is an accurate food guide. I mean, maybe there's no hope for any people like that, but I know that the people who would tune into smart enough to tune into a live stream and turn on a podcast in the morning and hook up Bluetooth to whatever or listen to it on their mobile devices, people who listen to Wake Up America show, I know it sounds ridiculous to you, but there really are people out there, normies, if you will. And I would say if you're listening to a podcast in the morning like this, a show like this, you're probably not a normie, you're probably cut above just because it takes a lot to tune into and participate with something like this. You kind of have to be, just a special individual, not to just praise my audience, but I'm just saying that you don't just grab a remote, turn on a TV, and then there's the idiot box telling you what to think. But in regards to the relative health, a lot of people are having old conversations. There were a lot of people in the 1980s who thought that eating eggs was unhealthy for you because we didn't quite understand, saturated fats, triglycerides, and what are the real hydrogenated fats versus unhydrogenated fats. There was so much there was very little work done on diets until the 1980s and 90s, when people really started to have healthy kicks, and we got a lot of stuff wrong, and a lot of scientists jumped to conclusions. But a lot of what would happen too is that the way some scientific communities will work is that if we have a scientific community here in the United States, let's say the scientific community in France will publish a paper, do a research paper, and the Americans, instead of checking their work, and this happened during COVID a lot, instead of checking their work, they would just go in and adopt the conclusions from a scientific community, another scientific community, and just give it a rubber stamp. There was some story I read recently, I'm forgetting if someone can remember. It had to do with the American Academy of Pediatricians, something to do with children's health. And if you can remember what that story was, just let me know. Where they just adopted whatever the pediatricians from another country had suggested. It was about peanut allergies. Austin, your brain does work. It's my founding flavors. Martha's Mint. It's delicious. I saved up some from last year. Founding Flavors coffee. It's delicious. And Somniferum says, we did understand that the proper was thrown out in favor of lies. Maybe for some people, there might have been a few people out there who really did know the truth, but most people did not know the truth. And therefore, if you had the secret knowledge, good for you. You're smarter than everyone. You had the secret knowledge. And we did not. Most people went to public schools, government schools, so they just thought that what they were learning in their schools were legit, right? The food pyramid or things like that. But most people aren't, reading the Anarchist Cookbook and the Crunchy Granola Guide out while they're hanging out with the Unabomber in the woods. So fast food is part of American culture. Yes, it's true. Does beef tallow taste better than seed oils? I think objectively, yes. Part of that could be our sense of nostalgia because of, nostalgia can be quite powerful. We look back on our youth and how delicious the cheeseburgers were. Well, maybe it was because we hadn't eaten a billion of them just yet. We weren't sick of them like maybe we are now. People who enjoy burgers on a night out aren't to blame. And Americans should have every right to eat out at a restaurant without being unknowingly poisoned by heavily subsidized seed oils. Now, that's the kicker there in that sentence. It's time to make frying oil tallow again. I mean, I love the conclusion because, to my knowledge, if I can remember from the 1980s, and I don't know if I've had anything fried in beef tallow since then, but the vegans and the vegetarians are just going to poop their pants. I mean, I would think that most of the vegans and the vegetarians aren't going to eat at a place like McDonald's anyways. So in theory, it should not affect them, but it doesn't matter because anytime you're going to increase the number of animals killed or use more animal products, of course, a large portion of that community is just going to revolt and be angry. And McDonald's is going to make a choice based on the best interest of their bottom line, not based on people's health, because that's not why you go to McDonald's. If you want to eat healthy, going to McDonald's is a stupid idea, and it's the kind of thing that you should eat as a treat. Listen, I like McDonald's, okay? I think the French fries are good, and I enjoy a double quarter pounder with cheese like any full-grown man. As you can see, I'm full-grown and still growing, unfortunately. I need to slow that down a little bit, and McDonald's might have a lot to do with that. But Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s statement, Americans should have every right to eat out at a restaurant. He uses, be careful about the word right, to eat out at a restaurant without being unknowingly poisoned by heavily subsidized seed oils. Heavily subsidized, I think, is really where the left libertarian in Robert F. Kennedy Jr. comes out, right? If we're looking at the ideological square, top right, top left, communist, fascist, right, in the most extremes, bottom left, bottom right, anarchist left libertarian to anarchist right libertarian. The closer towards the anarchist left libertarian on the spectrum, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says heavily subsidized. That really is the key point, and I applaud him for zeroing in on that. Talk to me about the economics of seed oils versus tallow in regards to subsidies and any important anecdotes on that. Okay. Cecilia H says vegans are always angry because they cannot eat bacon. Oh, Cecilia. Nice to see you guys. Thanks so much, Cecilia. You started the unlocking of the bonus content this morning. $5 raised towards the $60 goal. And once we do that, we'll be really happy, and we'll unlock today's bonus content about the FBI's crime statistics. Should be interesting. Oh, yeah.
Oh, God!
It's racist. No, just kidding. So here's the information that I pulled out this morning for you in order to enrich your morning. The debate around frying food in beef tallow versus seed oils, gained attention. Obviously, we're talking about this because of Donald Trump's trip to working at McDonald's. You can see how a PR stunt like this inspires real conversations about the real future of our nation and things that really impact us and things that people understand. I mean, again, master stroke, genius stroke by Donald Trump. And he's also calling out the fact that Kamala Harris never worked there. Again, brilliant move. Beef tallow history. So McDonald's originally used beef tallow, which is just rendered beef fat, to fry their famous French fries. It began in the 1950s, and it was praised for giving the French fries their distinct meaty flavor. Beef tallow is a saturated fat, which makes it a stable oil to use at high temperatures, which is, of course, ideal for fast food. The fries flavor became so iconic that it was a major draw for McDonald's customers. But health concerns about saturated fats that were largely spearheaded by this activist Phil Sokoloff in the 1980s put pressure on McDonald's and other fast food chains to switch to what were considered healthier alternatives, right? So if there's a bad guy in this story, if there's a caricature of a bad guy from an Ayn Rand novel, then Phil Sokoloff is the name you're looking for. And you spell that last name Sokolof, Phil Sokoloff, in the 1980s. And so in 1990, McDonald's swapped beef tallow for vegetable oils, like a blend of canola and sunflower oils, to reduce the amount of saturated fat in their fries. So seed oils like canola, soybean, and sunflower became popular in the mid 20th century as alternatives to animal fats due to their lower levels of saturated fats and their high polyunsaturated fat content. These oils were marketed as heart healthier options that were aligning with the nutritional recommendations of the time. And the industrial production of seed oils also made them relatively cheap and abundant. So let's talk a little bit about the pros and cons of both. And Will Run Riot's going to make me hungry when he talks about fried mushrooms cooked in beef fat are amazing, by the way. Oh my God. Oh my God. I love mushrooms, especially fried mushrooms. Beef tallow. The pros: high stability for frying, adds a rich flavor, saturated fat content, resists oxidation at high temperatures, reducing harmful free radicals during cooking. Cons: high in saturated fats, which have been linked to heart disease in certain studies, but recent research is starting to question the extent of some of these claims. So, the science is changing, right? It's not I am the science. We may be finding out in the next few years as more research is done that beef tallows, that the the pros of beef tallow far outweigh the cons of beef tallow. Now, let's talk about seed oils for a moment. High in polyunsaturated fats, which are associated with improved cholesterol levels. They're also cheaper and they're more accessible for mass production. We'll talk about the cheaper subject in a bit. Right now, let's not get ahead of ourselves. The cons are that it's less stable at high temperatures, meaning they can degrade and form harmful compounds when they're used for frying. So additionally, some modern studies are suggesting that excessive intake of omega-6 fatty acids, which are abundant in seed oils, may contribute to inflammation. So there is Robert F. Kennedy's Jr. Might be his strongest argument there, is that these seed oils may contribute to inflammation in our body. And inflammation is sickness, man. You do not want to be inflamed. And it could be a big part of a lot of illnesses. It could be a reason that people flare up with their autoimmune diseases, right? If you have a gastric autoimmune disease or you're prone to one, inflammation is the kind of thing that can lead to big problems. So again, I remain skeptical of the most hardcore of conspiratorial claims against seed oils because, to my knowledge, at this point, and I might be willing, and I will be willing to change my mind. Not might be. I will be willing to change my mind if new evidence comes out that suggests that it really is as bad as people like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and others are saying. To my knowledge and understanding, for what we can prove right now, the big problems with seed oils appears to be that it is so cheap in comparison to beef tallow because of the heavy subsidies involved. So, when McDonald's made the switch in 1990, customers noticed a drop in flavor quality. I was 10 or 11 years old at this point, so I don't know that I noticed a drop in quality. We didn't eat it at McDonald's a whole lot, right? But so to address this, McDonald's started adding natural beef flavor to their fries, ironically, to mimic the original beef tallow taste. And this led to controversy when vegetarians and certain religious groups like Hindus actually sued McDonald's for misleading claims about the fries being beef free. This is America. That's 1990 in America when shit started getting woke. So in essence, while seed oils were initially promoted for heart health, the modern debate is revisiting beef tallow due to its superior stability for frying and flavorful qualities. Both have their pros and cons, right? And the current shift reflects broader discussions on the real health impacts of different fats. So don't just act like you're going to fry your French fries in beef tallow and you're not going to blow up to 600 pounds, because the reality is that if you overeat and you pound down more calories than you burn, you take in more calories than you burn, you're gonna get fat. Okay, so just stop pretending. Let's stop pretending like, oh, the beef tallow is gonna be solving all the problems of our fat ass society. You're eating too much. Now, here's the real big kicker when it comes to seed oils question. Seed oils, particularly soybean and corn oils, are heavily subsidized by governments, especially here in the United States. We need a Javier Milei in here to afuera that shit. The rise of seed oils is largely due to the federal subsidies given to crops like soybeans and corn under programs like the U.S. Farm Bill. These subsidies make seed oils cheaper to produce and thus more cost-effective for large-scale food manufacturers. There you go. Just me saying this, like in a state like Missouri, here in Jefferson City, if I really wanted to lose every friend that I have in the Missouri state government, I just need to read that sentence one more time about the subsidies, and I'm going to do it. The rise of seed oils is largely due to the federal subsidies given to crops like soybeans and corn under programs like the U.S. Farm Bill. Missouri is one of those states, I'm sad to announce, the soybean Gestapo here. The soybean, we'll call them, how about this? We want to alliterate. So the soybean Stasi here in Missouri will destroy the career of anyone who tries to prevent the subsidies from the federal government flowing to the corporate farmers here in Missouri. Most of the farmers here in Missouri are not small farms, okay? Most agriculture nowadays is not small farms. Whenever politicians talk about the farmers, they're talking about, they're not talking about Joe the plumber or whatever, right? They're talking about Martin Withers Livingston the Fourth, that lives on a palatial estate just outside of Springfield and owns thousands and thousands and thousands of acres worth of farmland, and who sucks up federal subsidies like a Hoover. My dad, he's so libertarian and so anti-government that my farm, Stonegate Farm that we grew up on, it used to be a tobacco farm, so it qualifies for the federal subsidies that they give away to people to not grow tobacco, and my dad never took that money, at least to my knowledge. I asked him, he said he didn't. Don't lie to me, Dad. The U.S. government spends billions annually to support the growth of soybeans. What's wrong with you? The growth of soybeans and corn, which are major sources of vegetable oils. This artificially lowers the price of these oils, making them attractive for use in fast food, processed snacks, and general food manufacturing. Seed oil production benefits from economies of scale and political support, of course, like I was just explaining, leading to widespread adoption and industrial reliance. Now, beef tallow, on the other hand, this is a byproduct of the meatpacking industry, of course, rendering fat from cattle. So while the beef industry receives its own subsidies, tallow does not benefit from the same level of targeted support as seed oils, right? You got to have you got all this land as a farmer. You want to guarantee a revenue from it. I mean, the United States has been socialist on crops since the New Deal. We've been subsidizing farmers like this to grow food that people probably wouldn't eat in such large quantities if we didn't subsidize it for decades and decades, right? You could trace this all back to the New Deal. And the funny thing too is that sometimes if they have an overproduction of crops, then they will actually, the government will require that the farmers destroy them because the farmers demand that the government tells them to destroy them. Why? Because they want the prices to go up. And that's the state of our effed up economy. It's ridiculous. It's redunculous. It's retarded. It is stupid. Speaking of stupidity, Tim Walz went on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart and had this to say.
The Cheney thing, do we really have to do that?
Look, it goes broader than that. Look, Bernie Sanders, Dick Cheney, Taylor Swift.
No.
That one.
No.
The shooting?
No.
Having the Cheneys on board?
No. can't Dick Cheney or Taylor Swift. No.
We're a big tent.
What country did Taylor Swift get us to invade? No.
Yeah. No, don't you think, though, that, and I do this, I believe this, there is still a core group of folks out there, you know, your point being, and not joke, the don't tread on me, the Reagan piece of this, the libertarian piece, but the constitutional piece, there are a lot of people out there. I think Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney give permission to those folks who want to...
Excuse me, squeeze me? Excuse me, sir, excuse me, sir. Take that word out of your mouth. Did he just compare Dick Cheney, don't tread on me, constitutionalists, to Dick Cheney, to the constitutional libertarians? I don't even know what to say. Oh, my God.
I can first.
No, don't you think, though, that, and I do this, I believe this, there is still a core group of folks out there, you know, your point being, and not joke, the don't tread on me, the Reagan piece of this, the libertarian piece, but the constitutional piece, there are a lot of people out there. I think Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney give permission to those folks who want to find...
Okay, well, if you actually go over to Reason.com, speaking of the libertarian piece, if you actually go over to Reason.com, you can see who they wrote, who they voted for president in the United States, and there were many Reason staffers who voted for Kamala Harris.
No, please, no.
So I just don't see eye to eye with those people, right? I'm a constitutionalist. Hey, as you can see from my shirt there, a don't tread on me guy. There we go. Latrell, it's either they don't get Cheney or they don't get libertarians or both. Thank you, Latrell. Yes, exactly. I had to play that clip for you this morning because I was gobsmacked when I saw it. Kamala's town hall last night got kicked off with a great start.
You're not, unfortunately. We have some predetermined questions, and hopefully I'll be able to ask some of the questions that might be in your head. I hope so.
No, it's a town hall, but it's a town hall. Will we be asking questions? You're not, unfortunately. We have some predetermined questions. Hopefully you might be able to ask some questions that might be in your head.
I can first.
You're not going to be asking questions like that. Meanwhile, at the Trump rally.
And so I just want to thank Elon Musk. But when you look at his endorsement, where he endorsed me, I mean, he's not going around all over Pennsylvania day and night. It's like he's running. He just feels that our nation, if it doesn't win this election, the nation is not going to survive. It's not going to survive.
It has been incredible
so I want to thank
watch.
Elon.
Yes, it has been a blessing to watch him. Without the First Amendment, we have nothing. And Elon Musk has come. Buying Twitter was an incredible thing to do. And I think all of us are so grateful for him appreciating what America was founded upon. I will say about the fracking, to wrap that part up, fortunately, we do have something called videotape. And in 2019 and several times since Kamala Harris has said she would ban fracking, and now we come back and a lot of flip-flopping on that. So just like with the border, when I asked timing and how quickly, we're in the Keystone State. We're in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, fracking. I mean, this is a gold
Do you want to put up,
here.
do we have one of those fracking statements that you made? Because here, we put it up sometimes, but Pennsylvania specifically.
Yes.
It's about fracking. Can they put that fracking tape up if they could do it? I don't know if they can do it. This is a different forum. But if they can, put up the frack.
Meanwhile, the ladies of The View are handling Elon Musk's petition that he's giving signers of $1 million to. This is how the ladies of The View are handling that.
And this, people keep trying to buy the election.
Yeah.
Billionaire Elon Musk has gone all in for you-know-who, and now he's giving out $1 million a day to people who sign his super PAC's petition.
Sign it, baby.
Now, I thought that was against the law, but apparently they've found some new loop stuff that allowed this to go. I thought you couldn't do this.
Dude, loop stuff? What the hell are you talking about, Whoopi? Meanwhile, Bill Maher has this to say.
Harris would be the first woman president, first black woman president, and first Asian president. But I don't vote for who will be the first. I vote for who will win. And for whatever reason, Harris has never been popular. You can count the number of delegates she won in the 2020 primaries on one hand, as long as that hand has no fingers. In 3 years as vice president, she's been quieter than an electric car. And it's not fair that she's not popular. She's intelligent and accomplished, and in fact was put in charge of the border. And look at how... Okay, bad example.
It seems to me Bill's going to end up voting for her. Yeah, he's good on the woke stuff and all that, fine. It seems to me that nobody, whether it's the few sane liberals that are left that are going to vote Dem or the crazy Bill, nobody knows why they're voting for her other than she's not Trump. And I...
Thank you, Dave Rubin, for that clip. And infamous film director Spike Lee weighed in on the question of why black men aren't supporting Kamala Harris. Here's what he had to say.
Curious what you would say to people who look at this. We've heard a lot about cutting people up into groups, which on this program we've discussed the limitations of that. But on the one hand, it is white men who are skeptical of Kamala Harris. It is white and Latino men that are breaking towards Trump.
I know what the question is. Continue. Continue.
Should I continue? You can go ahead. If you got the gist of it, go ahead.
Well, it's sad but true. Some of my brothers have been drinking that Kool-Aid. And I just hope that they get their minds straight, get their minds right in time for this election. If they're conscious, if they're aware, there's nothing that this other guy can do that's going to put us, not just black folks, but Americans in a better position going forward. So I urge, and I got to give credit to President Obama because he's been going really hard on the brothers. Some might think too hard, but I don't think so. We got to wake up. And don't go for the okey doke, the flim flam. Can't do that. We got to support our sister to become the first woman president of the United States of America and the first sister. And then for this guy to say she's not black. Has he ever heard of Howard University? HU? AKA? Those two get you in right away already, AKA sorority, so it's I know I'm laughing, some smiles, some jokes, but it's serious business. It's serious business. I don't want to, make light of.
Did you ever see that interview of James Brown? Do you know what I'm talking about? Where James Brown on drugs and boom. This one here. Hold on, I don't want to play any actual music. There we go. Here we go.
Nothing wrong.
Nothing.
America.
James Brown. How did all of this trouble begin?
Living in America. There's nothing wrong.
There's nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong at all. You're not in any difficulty, but you're out on bond.
No, I'm not.
Have all the charges been dropped?
Yeah, I'm out on love.
He's out on love.
Well, are you out on love or out of love? Which is it?
Out on love. Alone from night to night, you find me.
Now, James, this isn't the first time you and your wife have had a problem. Are the two of you going to be able to work this out?
Let's talk about some music.
You want to talk about music, and you don't want to talk about what happened?
No, it's all over.
Well, let's talk about your tour. When are you leaving?
We're leaving tomorrow.
And where are you going?
Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Now, your fans will have read all about this, James. Aren't you concerned about that?
No, Dankeschön. I'm concerned because there's nothing wrong.
And what are you going to say to your fans when they ask you some questions about it?
I'm going to say I feel good. Papa's got a brand new bag. It's a man's world.
Well, that's the second time we've heard that in 2 days. That's very interesting. Now, don't leave us, James.
Bro. A listener texted in at 573-319-1586. Sent me a lot of texts this morning. Good morning. How are you, friend? Said James Brown is a hometown hero in RO. Yeah, so we got Chuck Berry. We love ourselves some Chuck Berry here in Missouri. I drove by his house out in Wentzville, Missouri back in the days. If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, good morning. It's nice to see everybody. We'd love to have you be a regular guest of the Wake Up America show. Come join us every Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a great way to start your day. And if you're watching the Wake Up America show over on Rumble, click like and follow the channel. We'd love to have you come back and join us Mondays through Fridays from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. We've been having a conversation this morning about the relative health benefits of cooking your French fries in beef tallow versus cooking them in seed oils, and talking about the highly manipulated nature of the marketplace for seed oils here in the United States. Phil Sokoloff was the man in the 1980s who launched a multi-million-dollar campaign targeting McDonald's for using beef tallow in their fries. And his campaign was driven by concerns, perhaps a little overblown, of saturated fats. He pushed companies to adopt seed oils, which contributed to the industry's shift. All of a sudden, all of these subsidies started rolling into the industry through the farm bills. The health concerns were part of federal dietary guidelines, which demonized saturated fats while promoting vegetable oils as a heart-healthy alternative. I remember being a kid and seeing them talking about the seed oils, the canola oil, the soybean oil, the sunflower oil as quote unquote healthy alternatives to beef tallow. And come to find out, it really was not that much healthier, and it might actually be worse. We talked a little bit about the potential for the causing of inflammation, but you pretty much know what you're going to get if you go out to eat at a fast food place here in the United States. However, if the food tastes better and is not as destructive to your immune system and to your body, then beef tallow would be a better choice, right? But of course, the problem is twofold. One is the beef tallow that you're using kosher, because the Jewish community will have a problem with it. And then two, it's beef tallow, so the vegan and the vegetarian lobby is not going to appreciate it. And if you get the Jews and the vegans and the vegetarians together, typically in government, something like that, well, it's sad, but it's just not going to happen. No offense.
But it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Trump's tax plans could exempt 93 million Americans from income taxes. Oh my God. Quests, thank you for your donation. Dropped $2 in tip jar. He said, my mom bought into all that crap. We even drank skim milk. No, God. No, Donald Trump's tax reform ideas could leave roughly 93.2 million Americans off the hook for at least part of their income taxes.
From now on, it's going to be America first, okay? America first.
Yeah, CNBC reports Trump has proposed eliminating taxes on tips and Social Security benefits. So guys, drop those tips over here on Rumble. Let's get you guys in a tipping mood, huh? We've got to hit $60 raised by the end of the show. And if we do, then we will unlock the bonus content. So guys, definitely hit those Rumble rants. And then next year, if Donald Trump takes over and eliminates taxes on tips, that's it. I'm taking all of my money in tips. I'm so excited, guys. Wouldn't you love to see this? Trump said he would replace the lost tax revenue with revenue from tariffs. But tax experts say that tariffs would not offset the tax losses. So good. Speaking of IRS and cutting taxes, cutting spending, we're going to speak to Alejandro Chafun this morning at 8:30. Bless you. At 8:30 a.m. Central Time this morning, we're going to speak to Alejandro Chafun about Javier Milei of Argentina abolishing his IRS. Oh my God. my God, guys, he's doing it. He's doing it. We're going to speak to Alejandro about that and all of the protests happening down there against Javier Milei. Tax me more, tax me harder, daddy. Here in the U.S., we're like, don't tread on me. But the students in our universities, of course, are like, tread on me harder, daddy. Oh, God, we need taxes. Please, daddy, tax us. Amy Butcher just started following the Army Butcher. Excuse me, not Amy. Didn't mean to misgender you there, Army. Army Butcher just followed us over on Rumble. You should follow us too. The Wake Up America show streams live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. And we'd love to have you be a regular guest on the Wake Up America show. So please do support us and support Rumble. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built the platform for the small creator, people like myself. They didn't censor, they didn't have biases. Lord knows I've been censored on dang near every other platform except for here. Nobody thought that platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on COVID. Maybe some of us did, right? But they did. And of course, Facebook admitted they felt a pressure from the Biden-Harris administration. We saw what happened to Twitter before Elon Musk took over as well. But Rumble did not cave to pressure from the administration. And they're attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. They're attacked in corporate media. They're attacked by governments like France. They're attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove free speech. Rumble's fighting to keep it. They won't survive with brand advertisers because they don't get much of it. So watching our show on Rumble is what I'm asking for you to do. But if you really believe in this fight, do what I do. And if you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. And I stream this show through Rumble Studio. There would be a little green Rumble Studio watermark up here if I did not subscribe. So I subscribe to Rumble to help support them. It's $10 a month, and it gives me that little benefit. But I don't mind supporting Rumble Studio, and I don't mind supporting Rumble. So if you'd like to support Rumble as well, join the community that believes in the First Amendment. They're offering $10 off with promo code STUDIO if you purchase the annual subscription, and you don't have the commercials, which I really like because commercials can be annoying. They can. I'm about to give you some of my annoying commercials in a moment while I go get Camellia to talk about Elon Musk. But if you have the means and you believe in the cause, now's the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, we're just happy to have you watch us on Rumble. Don't forget promo code STUDIO, rumble.com/premium. There you go, promo code STUDIO. Thank you to Rumble for Studio. Speaking of Camellia. Elon Musk isn't on the ballot this November, but for some, he might as well be. The billionaire was on stage last Thursday before hundreds of voters in suburban Pennsylvania. He was dressed all in black, giant American flag in the background. He was standing as a beacon of inspiration. He was alone, making the pitch for Donald Trump, why he should be elected president. But more than that, Musk was making the case for why he, with all of his success and purpose, thought the Republican was the best choice. Now, he had another event then Friday night in a nearby Pennsylvania suburb. And this is a state that Trump has a narrow edge over Kamala Harris. And Musk has framed the stakes of November's elections as nothing short than a battle of the fate of Western civilization. He's painted Harris's win in apocalyptic terms, predicting runaway crime and illegal immigration. He said, it's nice to watch the Mad Max movie, but we don't want to be in the Mad Max movie. And everybody cheered. Thank you, Elon. Yes, exactly. He talked about a city on Mars or space travel. He said making Star Trek real and building Star Wars like robots. He said life can't just be about solving one problem after another. There have to be things that inspire you and that move your heart. And this Elon is a much different Elon than we've seen from earlier this month. The one that was on stage jumping around in glee, right? Like, ooh, right at the Trump rally, kind of autistic, but kind of libertarian. And I loved it. Good morning, In Jam. Nice to see everybody. Looks like we got featured over at rumble.com with 535 people this morning. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm speaking to you. How are we doing over on x.com this morning? 1,566 people, 2,000 people watching us live. It's huge. Love to see it. We're number one on X this morning. Grateful and glad to have you here. Please do, if you're watching us on X, click the heart button. Give us a like over there and then a repost. Click the repost button over on X. And with 1,566 views, just think what we could do as a community if we did something special, very simple, totally free, and just click the repost button. If half of the people over on X liked and reposted the stream on their feeds, we could just absolutely dominate the news this morning and do something special and incredible. Let's do it. It doesn't take much time out of your day, just a couple of clicks. Click that stream, repost, let other people know about what we're talking about this morning. I'm excited to have Camelia Peterson joining us in a little bit less than 5 minutes to talk about Elon Musk and what he offers for young men, because even Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania is frightened by what Elon Musk is saying and doing. He says a lot of surrogates, this is Fetterman, a lot of surrogates really don't count for much, but Musk, it's undeniable that he's successful. He's the world's richest man, and he has a brand, and that's attractive to a demographic that we need to have to win in Pennsylvania. The Wall Street Journal interviewed young men, 19-year-old Owen Young and his 18-year-old brother Eric. They both go to a high school nearby. And both work at a hoagie shop and dream of bigger things down the road. They followed Starship and SpaceX for a long time, and they're very inspired by what Elon Musk has done. He's the single biggest pioneer in getting us, to Mars. He's going to get us off our world. And they weren't the only lone fanboys eager for the chance to see Musk in person. Several people had told the Wall Street Journal they didn't consider themselves politically active, but they jumped at the chance to come to an Elon Musk rally. Elon Musk says he hasn't been politically active before, but he's politically active now because he thinks the future of America, the future of civilization is at stake. God bless you, Elon Musk.
From now on, it's going to be America first. Okay?
Let's talk to Camelia Peterson about that and why Elon Musk is so inspiring to young men. Don't go away. We'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Maybe you should go visit the Griff Shop during the break. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Visit forlibertyshop.com. We'll be right back on the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network.
Haunted by high prices and big government? Don't be a ghost of your former self this Halloween. We've got shirts that'll keep the ghouls and the government off your back. Inflation's scarier than any haunted house, but hey, why not turn it into a costume? Or how about our spooky government shirt? Guaranteed to spook anyone who's afraid of too much power. But if you're feeling real edgy, nothing says Halloween like our Michael Myers No Lives Matter shirt. Cause when it comes to big government, we all get slashed. At forlibertyshop.com, we believe in freedom, not fear. So grab your libertarian Halloween gear before the government takes an extra bite out of your wallet. Or your candy. forlibertyshop.com. Let's make Halloween tax-free.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. It's nice to see ya. Thanks for joining us live. We got featured on the front page of rumble.com. There's 730 people watching the Wake Up America show live right now over on Rumble. If today's the first time that you're watching the show, good morning. I'm Austin Peterson, and we produce this show 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. So I hope that we'll earn your like and we'll earn your follow and you'll come back and join us again tomorrow. Once you see my next guest and you hear from her, she's a regular Tuesday and Thursday guest at this time. I think you will. Camellia Peterson joins us, a fellow Missourian and a fellow freedom lover. Good morning, Camellia. Nice to see you, CJ.
Good morning. Nice to see you too. Great
glad to
show.
have you here. Oh, yeah. Thanks very much. Yeah, we're number one on X, and we're kicking some butt over on rumble.com. It's nice to see 2 years into this show, and boy, we're really in a different place than we were in the very beginning when everybody was pretty damn sure that I was going to fail.
Haters gonna hate.
Haters gonna hate. All right, Taylor Swift aside, let's talk about another billionaire, Elon Musk, holding all these rallies in Philadelphia. It's a sight to see. He's never been political before. He's off the fence. He's out there hopping around like, an aspy little kid, and he's having a great time. But he's got a serious message, and he's inspiring young people, specifically young men, who have been, to this point, cast off the margins of society. You got Kamala Harris on one side, Camellia, and they're saying things like that CNN anchor I played yesterday. She was like, it's white people that need to get out and vote for Kamala Harris. And, they're shaming and harassing us. And then they're like, Barack Obama's like, it's the males, the brothers. They're not showing up for Kamala. They're harassing us. And then you got Elon, who's like, let's go to Mars. Let's build stuff. The difference couldn't be more stark.
Right. And, he was talking about this the other day. It was something that he said in one of his speeches. I don't have it up in front of me, but basically he said that, we have to face the realities that we are in, but the people need a vision. They need optimism. They need hope for the future. And that is yes, no, but none of the parties have been doing that. And they haven't been striking that balance, because you do have to face the realities of where we are and come up with whether it's incremental or not. I mean, that's the problem with the libertarian approaches. It's all or nothing, but we've got to take steps to get there and be pragmatic about it. But people still also have to have that hope that there is a better way. And that's what I've loved about Elon for so long, is his vision and his determination that, we're going to get to Mars. And I saw him talk about the other day when he talks about how much his predictions come true or not. And he was saying that he aims for kind of the 50% mark. And he was like, and his predictions usually do come true. He was like, but about half the time they're on time and half the time they're late. Right. But I would say he's been pretty accurate, and he's done a lot of the things that he set out to do. And when you look at his Twitter feed and just him talking about the technological hurdles that they have accomplished in order to, have a booster that comes back and land, all of these things that nobody thought were possible. And he was like, I wasn't even sure it would happen, but we're making it happen. It just is that's exciting. What a time to be alive. I mean, we talk about 100 years ago, we had the Wright brothers, and now we're going to space. Mars in my lifetime.
I mean, I certainly hope so. It'd be nice to see, but in terms of what the other side wants for us, what they want to do, they want more NASA, they want more government, they want more control, they want bigger IRS, more enforcement, higher taxes, higher spending, more Lizzo they want to make America Detroit again.
I can first.
Which, as a man who has a wife that is from near the Detroit area, I have to be careful about what I say about that city, but it is in a somewhat of a state of disrepair. I think that even she would agree. But Elon Musk is providing to young men the inspiration that they aren't getting from nearly anywhere else in the media, in pop culture, or they have to go online, a lot of these young men, and they tend to get radicalized by ne'er-do-wells, unmentionables, misfits, and miscreants when they really need good, positive role models. And if anything, that's kind of the crux of this discussion, is that Elon Musk is kind of the role model that these young men really need.
Right. And he's been going out there and talking about the importance of, men being men. And I think one of the things too that is appealing about him is Elon is pretty transparent. He is who he is. And, with his, what some people would call juvenile sense of humor that we all appreciate because we're fun people, right? We're not sticks in the mud. But also, one of the things that this Wall Street Journal article talked about, and this author, I think it's Tim Higgins, writes a lot about Elon Musk, and he's done a couple of really good articles about Elon's kind of restoring, the masculinity, to the masculinity movement. And one of the things he said is like many critics or some critics, want to just chalk up, Musk's antics to toxic masculinity. But he stands as a hero to many young men saying the stuff they're thinking. He is saying the stuff they're thinking and chasing the dreams that they wish they had the courage to imagine coming to their town to fight the fight. And this is one of the things that really stood out to me the most was when he said that for certain young men in Pennsylvania and elsewhere who feel left behind, I mean, like, obviously, Elon Musk has unfathomable wealth, far more than them, but he has something that's a lot more precious, and that is purpose. And so, when these young men who are feeling left behind in our culture see him coming out and, with this vision of hope and this determination that you can do it and you can achieve the American dream as a private citizen, he is like, that's the new American dream, is purpose. And he's showing them that.
I know. It's like he is the guy who is out there inspiring young men to be entrepreneurs and to move fast and break stuff, while the other side is really about caution, wear your helmet, don't go too fast, let's slow things down, we'll implement a tax increase that will regulate this activity. And that's just not where most young men who are men who aren't confused about their identities, that's the way that they feel. That's how I've always felt, and I am now. And he's doing things that actually have a purpose. It's more than just Mars, or we're going to get off this planet, which is kind of, a concept that most of us really can't grasp. But one of the women who showed up at his rally to ask him a question, she actually got up and praised him for his work with Neuralink. And This is something closer to home. This matters, right? That he said it could help some disabled people walk or see. And she stood up and she says, I want to thank you as somebody with a spinal cord injury. Those are real tangible results and improvement in the lives of real people that you don't see from right. As much as I love Shark Tank, right? Mark Cuban doesn't really compare.
No, not at all. And this is not, his appeal is cross-generational. I don't remember if I said anything before about this, but when I was in Wisconsin, I knocked the door of an elderly woman who we had a great conversation, and in that conversation discovered a mutual love for Elon Musk. And she was like, talking about the chip, and she's like, I'm ready to take the chip.
The Neuralink, she wants the brain chip.
Yeah, she wants the brain chip.
It's so funny because you'll get so many people who'll be like big fans of Elon Musk, and they'll be like, we hate seed oils and bring back the beef tallow, which I want to ask you about in a minute. But then it'll be like, then they'll be like, the Neuralink, the chip in our brains. No, he's part of the Illuminati. Oh my God. Oh, panic. Scream. That's how you know that he's one of the Bilderbergs. But it is inspiring. It's exciting to see. And, we're number one on his platform every day. So I kind of have an affinity. I haven't really gotten the big Elon bucks yet, like some of my friends are saying, but I haven't gamified Twitter to just do the stupid crap that you have to do.
You aren't replying to every comment that comes along. God,
No.
that's the most annoying thing ever. I'm sorry.
No,
It
I
just
probably
is
should, though. Those checks are a little bit too big. If I'm going to sell out, I'm going to sell out to Elon.
Can you bless me with something?
Elon.
Oh, gosh. Money-wise. Please.
Can you suck it?
Elon, no.
What?
Well, Camelia's
Elon doesn't run that way.
Yeah, sure. She's like, ask me how I know. If Donald Trump wins, the prospect of Elon Musk doing something like what Javier Milei is doing in Argentina is quite exciting. And we're going to talk about Javier Milei in about 20 minutes with Alejandro Chafun and him abolishing the IRS down there.
Yes, holy cow. By the way, when I was posting about that yesterday,
my lower jaw sticks out. I'm just like, poor son. Right? Oh my God, it's so exciting.
So one of my followers on X said that we should have Milei Mondays, where we all wear our Milei t-shirts and encourage our elected representatives to be the very best that they can be. I'm like, hell yeah!
Javier Milei Mondays. I love it. It's a great idea.
Milei Mondays. And
exactly.
I was just thinking that we've been talking about like, who's our Milei, right? What does that look like? And maybe Elon Musk is our Milei. Maybe he can't be president, but maybe in every way that matters, he's our Javier Milei.
Honestly, I could see it. It's just a shame. It's just a shame that he can't actually be president of the United States because he is an immigrant. Once more, he's African American, as they say.
Hey, wait, he's white.
Camelia Peterson joins us live on Tuesdays and Thursdays here on the Wake Up America show, and she joins us for her regular spot at 8 a.m. Central Time. So if you guys would love to hang out with Camelia on the regs, then please do so here and click like and follow the channel that you're watching us on. For the first time, many of you are watching the Wake Up America show, and I'm Austin Peterson. And so if the 686 people or 697 or so joining us live over at rumble.com this morning would all click like and follow the channel, then we could do something really special here with this show.
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, it's nice. I love it when we get a big audience. It's so much fun. And we do get sometimes people who are angry in the text messages, and that's okay. You can send us a text at 573-319-1586. We got a seed oil truther sending me messages this morning, and we are going to talk about that now. That says that the, quote, scientists lied to the American people. I agree. They are in the hands of Big Pharma. I largely agree. They say there is zero benefit to seed oils. I disagree. And then they say, please set the record straight. Let's do that, Camelia, because of course everything has trade-offs. Beef tallow might be better than seed oils, but it does have its weaknesses as well. Maybe you shouldn't be eating dozens of cheeseburgers covered in beef tallow or French fries. Maybe if you eat a giant extra large beef tallow fry every single day, you're still going to blow up to 500 pounds, you fat fuck.
Funny how that will happen, right?
Yeah. Maybe your tubby piece of shit ass is 500 pounds, not because you're eating seed oils, but because you're eating too much McDonald's in the first place.
I was going to say, I don't think McDonald's just going back to beef tallow is going to completely eliminate the problem.
Yeah, I don't think so. I've read a lot from the seed oil people. They say things like, oh, it's toxic, oh, it's poison. Now, there is an argument about seed oils potentially causing inflammation, which if so, that is a big red flag and definitely something that we need to address, right, Camelia?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, inflammation is the source of a lot of our health problems. It is. And I know that there are lots of contributing factors, and it's really hard to narrow down like what in our environment, in our diet, whatever is, maybe contributing to the increase in certain, illnesses or whatever. I read a stat the other day on an article about maternity care in Missouri, and it said something about that, 45% of pregnant women have pre-existing chronic illness. And I was like, what? Like, how is that? That's not normal. That's not, how do we get here?
No, they link it, the obesity crisis. They'll usually commit a fallacy like post hoc ergo propter hoc, right? And they'll say something like, well, isn't it interesting how this event correlates with the rise in obesity? Right. And it's quite likely that seed oils, here's the thing. The biggest problem with seed oils may not necessarily be their direct health effects, but it may be the consequence of the farm subsidies that we're talking about here in Missouri.
No, God, please.
There is no more powerful lobby than the people are always like talking about the evils of big pharma, right? Like my texter is like the evils of big pharma. What about the evils of big ag? Nobody talks about that because they're all like, oh, it's the poor farmers and shit. But these aren't poor farmers. It's, Lewis Livingston Witherspoon the 14th, who owns 7,000 acres of land and gets gigantic checks from the government to grow these seed oils, and the subsidies are the problem, are they not?
I mean, for sure. I mean, why do you think we have so much corn everything and soybean everything? Like, we have subsidized the heck out of it and made it, profitable. And if it's not profitable, the government will step in and make it profitable.
Yeah. Oh, Amy over on the chat. Here's another big thing that people don't understand. This is why people freak out on things like when it comes to certain additives to vaccines. Amy J. Eves, she's a nurse from Columbia. She says the dose makes the poison, everything in moderation. So when they talk about the problem with people use the word like toxic and poison is that they don't understand dosage, right? So like water, if you drink enough of it, it's toxic. It's poison because dosage is what matters, right? Breast milk contains formaldehyde. If you drank it in a high enough quantity, breast milk is poison. I'm willing to try, however. Just kidding. Or am I? Whitey White 14 over in the chat. We got a great chat this morning. Says that where was his comment on this one? He talked about Super Size Me documentary was done by a drunk drug addict and it was fake. People believed the anti-McDonald's propaganda piece. Yeah, there's been a lot of crunchy granola retardation in the last 2 or 3 dozen years. And it's interesting how that crunchy granola movement has moved from the far left now to the kind of far right, where you get a lot of the and then what's interesting too is how the Phil Sokolofs of the world, like the big corporate lobbyists in the industry and the agriculture, how they sort of play on people's fears. So for example, the way that they managed to get people to ban beef tallow, or not ban it, but get them to move it, right? They sued McDonald's. Hindus and vegetarians sued McDonald's back in the 1980s, and that lawsuit was successful. And then what happened was that Phil Sokoloff is this trial attorney who's getting millions and millions of dollars from guess who? The people that are going to be transferring us over to seed oils. And all of a sudden they're saying, oh, these oils are so much healthier for you. But it was bullshit, because the saturated fats that they had in beef tallow were, yes, not good for you in large amounts, dosage. But the massive amount of subsidies that came in were a part of the corruption. But they used the crunchy granola leftists in the 1980s, Phil Sokoloff did, because the crunchy granola conspiratards were on the left, and they were saying things like, it's the beef tallow, it's evil, right? And the Hindus were like, yes, it's terrible, do not eat the beef tallow, this is our God. And the vegetarians were like, don't eat the beef tallow because it's a vegetarian, all that kind of stuff. So the crunchy granolas were on the left. Now the crunchy granolas are a little bit more on the right, which is fascinating.
Right. And it's why RFK Jr. has such appeal to so many on the right, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a fascinating subject too, because it does deal with our health, and there's a lot of bullshit out there about the relative health of these things. And Heartland Oki comes in with a correction, and I am willing to change my mind when I'm corrected. He says they don't believe cows are deities; they believe they are their relatives that have died. You are eating their relatives. Well, thank you for that. And horrible.
I don't actually know if I knew that. Interesting.
Yeah, I thought that they were gods. Love to hear your thoughts on this. You can send us a text, even if you're angry with me and I said some bad words and you're mad because your kids heard them. 573-319-1586 is the text line. Again, that's 573-319-1586 is the text line. Calories in, calories out. That's what I say. If you're eating more calories, you know what a lot of people don't want to hear, because they like to focus on the seed oils thing. It's the same reason that they want to focus on things like Ozempic, right? People want they want a poison pill, or they want what do they call it? They want a cure-all, right? They want a magic pill, right? They want to say it's this one thing that's making me fat, and not the fact that I've never done a day's worth of exercise in my life.
You can lose all the weight you need to lose with this one neat trick.
Right. Just cut out the seed oils and you won't be an obese monkey, right? You won't be a giant, fat orangutan sitting on the couch. And while you cannot outrun a bad diet, and it is a fact that you can exercise as much as you want and still blow up to 800 pounds if you don't eat right, most of the time people who exercise are going to eat right anyway because they don't want to lose the benefits. I'm not one of those people. I eat a lot and get fat because I still work out. So I'm a big, chunky, fat, strong man, and I like it that way, god dang it. God darn it.
Hey, now, if women are expected to maintain their figures, so are men. So chop there.
Okay, it's true. I need to get... Yesterday I did really good. I do the protein shakes for lunch these days because that they fill me up and they give me the protein that I need. It's hard to get good protein. I used to think, if I went to McDonald's and got me a double quarter pounder with cheese, that I'm getting a lot of protein there. There's not. It's mostly fat.
Yeah.
Mostly seed
I learned
oils.
you really have to watch I look a lot anymore at what's my, protein to calorie ratio, right? Because you can eat protein, but then with some proteins, you're consuming a lot of calories along with it. So it's not really worth it, right? So,
Yes. We're speaking to Camellia Peterson this morning. 685 people on Rumble. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. One listener texted in. They said that food is their passion. Well, that's interesting. They said, thanks for listening. You're welcome. And they're glad the conversation has started. We also need to go back to raw dairy and regenerative farming. I don't know what regenerative farming is. Camellia, aren't you a big raw milk fan?
Raw milk will be delivered to my garage fridge this morning.
Delicious.
I just put some jars out and brought the remaining milk in.
Yeah, you guys.
I'm being very trad.
I'm willing to change my mind on the whole raw milk thing, but for now, I'm going to go with the forces of pasteurization. Louis Pasteur. I like avocado. I think that avocado oil it's a seed oil, right? Isn't it? I don't know if the avocado is a seed or it's got a seed. I'm not quite sure how that works.
Considered a seed oil or not. Same, question for olive oil, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. So avocado, I've heard that avocado oil is really good for you because it doesn't cause the inflammation, at least to my knowledge, but I would love it if someone would let me know out in the chat or send me a text at 573-319-1586. Did we have another topic this morning? Oh, this is the last one, and it has to be quick. Doting house husband. Do we have time for this, Camellia? The behind many powerful women on Wall Street, a doting house husband, more men staying home to facilitate
we definitely should talk about this sometime. There is lots to it though.
Okay.
It is an interesting conversation, by the way. Maybe this is a teaser and we can get into it deeper later, but it's an interesting conversation about, the role of men and women that we've talked about quite a bit, but also the role of men as dads, right? And so there are a lot of different aspects to that as far as what is tradition versus what is actually biological. And maybe we've been a little wrong about what we would say are biological, what we view as biological imperatives, because we kind of have a tendency to mostly see what we expect to see. So, all of the cultural norms that have been drilled into us, like those are the things that we look for. So, it used to be that men didn't even go into delivery rooms, and now they do all the time. And I would say that
I got an eyeful.
Right. And it is good. Like dads are much more active participants in their children's lives.
I tell you what.
Respect.
Yes, I tell you what, though, Camellia, I got to run because we got to talk about Javier Milei here in a couple minutes, and Alejandro's probably like, where you at? But I'll say this, ladies, you fought for equality, you fought for the rights in the workplace. This is what I want y'all to do. I want you to work your asses off, and the husbands. We are all volunteer. I volunteer to stay home. Ladies, get out there in the workplace and bring home the bacon. That's what I want to see.
We'll be the new Amazonian society.
Exactly. I tell you what I do. I'm gonna eat grapes. Right. We're gonna. It's funny too because a lot of these house husbands still have like nannies and people like that coming in and take care of. Which a lot of wives, a lot of wives have had women who come into the house and help take care of. Then when then they're supposed to be stay-at-home moms, right, and all that stuff. So I think it's time for women to start taking care of us. I think it's time for us men to be spoiled. I'm ready for a little drizzle, to be quite honest.
God.
Ladies, get out there into the workplace, start bringing home the bacon. And I'll tell you, if you don't provide for us, we will cheat on you. We will divorce you. We might do it anyway. But if you don't, anyway, right. But if you don't, we'll be like Kamala's Doug Emhoff, and we'll knock up the nanny. So you better be earning much more than us, ladies, or we won't find you attractive. Camellia, is there anything else that you want to say before we go?
I really don't think that I can top that.
Okay, well, Camellia, where do we follow you online?
Rare Camellia on Twitter. It's my favorite because Elon's my favorite.
Elon's her favorite. She loves Elon. See you later, Camellia, on Thursday at 8 a.m. Central. Camellia Peterson. Steffi, my wife, is over in the chat. She says, I'll spoil you. Oh, nice. Amy Lynn, 1213, just started following us here on the Wake Up America show. Good morning, Amy. Thanks for following us over on Rumble. We got about 629 people joining us live over there, and I'm running a little bit late because I'm supposed to have running a few minutes late. Be right there, Alejandro. Elon Musk, not Elon Musk. Austin, slow down. Javier Milei has abolished the Argentine IRS. But who will build the roads? We'll talk about that with Alejandro Chafun, a fellow Argentine himself, when we get back on the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Better get that bonus content unlocked, guys.
Haunted by high prices and big government? Don't be a ghost of your former self this Halloween. We've got shirts that'll keep the ghouls and the government off your back. Inflation's scarier than any haunted house, but hey, why not turn it into a costume? Or how about our spooky government shirt? Guaranteed to spook anyone who's afraid of too much power. But if you're feeling real edgy, nothing says Halloween like our Michael Myers No Lives Matter shirt. Cause when it comes to big government, we all get slashed. At 4libertyshop.com, we believe in freedom, not fear. So grab your libertarian Halloween gear before the government takes an extra bite out of your wallet. Or your candy. 4libertyshop.com. Let's make Halloween tax-free.
Hello, this is Barack Obama, and let me tell you why Austin Peterson stinks, and you should never pay attention to anything that he has to say. First of all, he's a libertarian, and we all know libertarians are idiots. They don't realize how important government is to everything that we do. I recently became aware that Austin has opened up a libertarian shop at apeforlibertyshop.com. Now, I'm asking you as a personal favor to me that you never ever visit apeforlibertyshop.com. With all of the great Liberty merchandise there, the last thing that we need to do is to get people spreading this message around the country, because then they might start thinking that they don't need government. And that's the last thing that good Democrats like us want. So if you love democracy, like me, and hate freedom, then don't visit AP for Liberty Shop. Like I said, whatever you do, do not visit aporlibertyshop.com. I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.
Por último, el gobierno les anuncia muy felizmente que hoy, o a partir de hoy, la Administración Federal de Ingresos Públicos, más conocida como
better known as
dejará de existir.
will cease
En su
to
lugar se va
exist. Oh my goodness. Good morning. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. We're glad and thankful to have you here. Please click the like button and support the channel by clicking follow. Come back and join us. Our show schedule is Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time, and it's nice to be the #1 show on X. Elon Musk's platform gives us the free speech to have a gigantic audience. It's huge. Thousands of people tuning into the Wake Up America show live right now. I know that many of you, my audience, is from Argentina, because when I see the statistics and the analytics, I note that I think it's double digits now, my audience coming down Buenos Aires and the other areas down there in South America, tuning in to hear what I have to say about Javier Milei, who abolishes the massive tax institution, our IRS, essentially, replaces it with something a little bit smaller. And I'm reading the news, I'm searching the news to try and find more information about this incredible, wonderful, good news. But when I read the mainstream media, all I see is Argentina's researchers face continued catastrophe under Javier Milei. And the Associated Press says public university protests escalate in challenge to Argentina's President Milei. And I just can't seem to find much good news out there talking about this incredible development about Javier Milei dissolving their tax agency. We need some details. I guess we're just going to have to report the news. Why not? My former boss joins us now, Alejandro Cafuan, this morning. He studies as an Argentine himself, and he's joining us live this morning. Good morning, Alejandro.
Good morning, and I also always saw you as a talented collaborator. You know, I think when we lead organizations, we are actually working for the rest of the team. You know, so it's a pleasure to be with you, Austin.
Thank you very much, Alejandro. And of course, it's great to hear such kind words from a former boss. So thank you very much. And you've had an incredible and an exciting career. Were you in the Falklands Islands around the time of the British conflict between Argentina and Falklands? You were writing about that conflict, and you were there, were you not?
Yes, not only. I was at the time editorial writer of the only British magazine in Argentina, the Review of the River Plate. And at the same time, I was writing the editorials for the most conservative newspaper called La Nueva Provincia, an award-winning newspapers, which located in what it would be the Argentinian Annapolis, you know, Bahia Blanca. So I was getting, you know, top information from both sides. I saw, you know, the first casualty in war is truth. And again, when I use the analogy, you know, for me, Javier Milei is a miracle. I never thought, you know, that people with our views were going to have this chance, you know, to push the views of the free society in this troubled country. But part of my fear is in Argentina for a while, you know, they were saying, we're winning, the British are losing, they're running away. And then from one day to the other, the whole thing collapsed. And it led, you know, to the collapse of the government. And I think that we have to be careful. Javier Milei faces enormous challenges. He is confronting them with tremendous courage. Not a week passes without major announcements of him trying to dismantle part of this bureaucratic monster that has shackled Argentinians into poverty.
he's had a major win. The news is that he abolished their major tax revenue collection agency. He's replaced it with something smaller. Help us to understand a little bit better about Javier Milei's actions here and what the outcomes of this might be.
Well, in a way, it's similar to what he did with the ministries as soon as he took office. He pushed 5 ministries became undersecretaries, and then the Ministry of Human Capital. But that has big fiscal implications because it downgrades, the salaries of the ministers. It also allowed him to make major reform and actually abolish some of these DEI ministries, like the Ministry for women privileges. Again, he's totally friendly to women. I have few governments in the world have so many talented women in his team. But this one is something similar. Just to give you an idea, the salary of the...
You cut out there, Alejandro, the salary of a government employee there for the tax administration. Hold on just a second. We'll get Alejandro back on the show. Don't you just love it? Womp womp. Good morning, everybody. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching the Wake Up America show. Looks like the numbers over on Rumble are climbing. We're talking about Javier Milei this morning and his the incredible news about Javier Milei dissolving the country's tax agency, the AFIP, as part of a government effort to reduce. Hold on, I'm going to X out of that one. There we go. And hopefully he will jump back in. I'm just going to send him a quick little message and tell him, send him another, invitation to our chat when this happens live. There's no one to help me. I have no producer. I have thousands of people watching me live right now while I desperately scramble to get my guest back, and I have no one to help with that. So hopefully one day that will change, but let me send him a link again, and here it is. I'm just tap dancing. I'm singing. There we go. Sent it to him. Boom. And I will read you the news because got my backup. Here we go. So Argentine President Javier Milei on Monday announced the dissolution of the country's tax agency, the Administración Federal de Ingresos Públicos, as part of a government effort to reduce inefficiencies. Talk about inefficiencies. A new entity, the Customs Revenue and Control Act, will be established in its place to streamline operations and reduce bureaucracy. So he's dissolving the country's revenue service, usually shortened as AFIP. The agency administers taxation in the nation. Oh my God. And when you see headlines like that, and then you look over here in the United States, and I'm reading CNBC this morning, this is yesterday's news, but this is big news. Trump's tax plans could exempt 93 million Americans from income taxes. You say to yourself, afuera. And people are always like, well, who will build the roads? Well, who will do this? Who will do that, right? Thank you for the $5 donation, Nelson. And thank you, Andy Opperman, for going to forlibertyshop.com and unlocking the bonus content. I'll go ahead and play that for you while I work to get Alejandro. Looks like he's waiting in the waiting room this morning. But before we bring him in this morning, let's see if we can't get ourselves a quick little live read. Here we go. Where is he? There he is. Alejandro, are you with us, sir? Alejandro, can you hear me? Mic check, mic check. I can hear you. You can't hear me? I can hear you. Okay, Alejandro. There's only thousands and thousands of people watching us this morning, so don't worry about it. Alejandro, you were talking a little bit about Javier Milei's victory in shutting down the bureaucracy. Why is it so? A lot of people in our mindset might say, why not just do away with the tax thing entirely, right? What does he accomplish by reducing the size of the tax collection bureaucracy? Does it, I mean, you could in theory still collect the same amount of taxes, it's just reducing the size of the bureaucracy? Help me understand.
Well, Argentina has a very complex tax system. I think there was a think tank that tried to compile all the taxes that we were paying. It is almost impossible. So there's a lot of tax evasion because the tax system is so complex. I think when I was cut, I was trying to say, that the fact that he's fulfilling all his promises, he's giving us certain indications that he's going to fulfill his promise one day of closing the central bank as well. As you know, the cost of government is measured by government spending and the regulation that it imposes. Milei has reduced government spending like no one else did in the history of Argentina in this last half a century. So he has said, that the caste means, what you call here in the United States, the deep state, entrenched bureaucracy, and those who live from their privileges. So this is an indication that he is serious. And so many people who just by being tax inspectors made themselves millions, are paying the cost of some of the reforms that are very much needed in Argentina.
No, it's great to hear. I mean, Javier Milei has abolished entire agencies of his government. When we talk about that in the United States, Alejandro, they say things like, who will build the roads? They ask us questions like these. And I saw recently another news headline out of Argentina that Javier Milei has determined that there will be a certain amount of privatization of the roads in Argentina. Have you heard this as well?
Yes, and again, as you know, that can be a double-edged sword, correct? Because basically, what you are doing, you are not giving mostly the ownership of the road. It's a temporary ownership and build roads in exchange of paying tolls. And again, it all will depend how Argentina moves forward. If we are going forward to a country with rule of law, with a low government spending and lower taxes and simplified taxes, the more all type of privatizations are welcome. But again, Argentina had some of these roads built by the private sector and then paid by tolls. But then, with corruption, some of this and fiscal mismanagement, some of those were reversed to the state. So again, it's not impossible. I believe that he will try all types of reform to modernize Argentina and encourage the private sector to be part of this sort of what I hope will be a revolution that will change the face of the Americas.
Well, I mean, it's revolutionary what he's doing, and he's made a lot of enemies in doing so. He's been in his own country, been still fighting against the forces that had power before Javier Milei took office. It was a miracle that he and his forces of heaven managed to beat back the Peronists and Kirchnerists, who are still trying to make a political comeback down there in Argentina. I'm reading this morning articles that claim that Argentina is in chaos due to the policies of Javier Milei. Specifically, research scientists are at their lowest point. I'm reading research scientists are saying that due to it has never been more difficult to do science in Argentina than it is right now due to Javier Milei's policies. How would you respond to that?
It really started a joke and propaganda. Scientists during this decades of decay have been leaving Argentina, and just look by awards of Argentines, in the scientific area. The people who have been leaving are the path-breaking innovators and businessmen like Marcos Galperin, who is the Jeff Bezos. His free market. The name of his company is called Mercado Libre. So he moved his company to Uruguay and to other countries of Latin America for the uncertainty of the tax laws, the bribes that were being asked for him to remain producing in the country. So a lot of what we're seeing is propaganda, and it's normal, it's natural law. Those who are suddenly see their privileges cut and would like the poor people to pay for their fancy research are going to cry foul, But and again, I sympathize with everyone who got used to the past, and they think they were going legitimate research. But we are trying to move to a country that much more respectful of rule of law, and your merits are really valued by your peers and the market, and not by your bureaucrat that pays you your salary.
Good to hear. Alejandro Jafuan joining us live this morning. on the Wake Up America show to talk about the incredible work of Argentina's Javier Milei. Now, not everybody agrees with me and with you, Alejandro, that Javier Milei is doing wonderful things. Now, during the campaign, students, typically high school age students, who were able to vote because the socialists decided to lower the voting age in Argentina to 16. They thought that that was going to help them with majority, ended up actually not working out so well for them. Young people turned out in droves to vote for Javier Milei because he was seen as cool, fun, and exciting candidate. But when I read the Associated Press this morning, it sounds as if students specifically are turning against him. This is the Associated Press article. Public university protests escalate in challenge to Argentina's president, Javier Milei. They're saying they're here for the teachers, to demand that they get decent salaries. It sounds very similar to the kind of leftist Marxist rhetoric that we hear on American university campuses, Alejandro. So what's going on with young people in Argentina?
Well, first, there are different levels of young. And during the inauguration, and still the super young, those who have not been able to enter yet the formal economy. When I was lucky to get one of these hats that now President Trump has copied, the color of it. And when I was walking with this in the street vendors will stop me trying to take pictures with me. I couldn't believe it. And the younger the voter, the more they voted for Milei. Now, there's a segment that goes to the universities, that of older people in the environment. Imagine if in the United States, 85% at least of the professors are leftists. In Argentina, it's almost 95%. So Milei is an existential threat to much of the agenda that is being preached there. Now, I'm not joking when I define Milei as a centrist. Milei has announced that he still wants the university to be free. Free means it's not free. It's paid by the taxpayer. And many times taxpayers who cannot attend the universities because they are so poor. And again, some poor attend the university in Argentina. But Milei has maintained, the healthcare, paid by the education paid by the government, and the universities, which your audience, especially in the United States, they believe that even in state universities you have to pay. So he's confronting decades and decades of a culture that is used to government dominance. So I think that cohort of university students, I would say, is much less pro-Milei, especially in state universities, than those who were to study at private universities, and their parents and themselves have to work hard to get an education that is even better than they get at state institutions. So, but again, I think it's natural. An economist that I think you and I love, Peter Bauer, he basically, his thought is understandable that people will try to defend their privileges, and that is what you're seeing. And let me tell you, I don't know what will happen in the elections in the United States. If President Trump wins, Milei and him will play a very different role in the Americas, and Argentina will play a key role. But if Trump loses, the attacks that you are going to see on Javier Milei are going to be immense, because it's going to be the only country in the Americas that sides with Western powers and sides, with the language of freedom and not with the language of statism.
We need Donald Trump to win, Alejandro. I don't understand when I see some of our associates over at Reason Magazine, and they list the names of all the people they're voting for, and they're voting for the Libertarian Party candidate. It's fine. Several of them are voting for Kamala Harris, and then there's zero libertarians at Reason Magazine who are voting for Donald Trump. What is it about Donald Trump? What is it that we see in him? What is it that they don't see or understand about the situation, the political situation of the United States, Alejandro, many of these people are former colleagues that, even that we worked with, so triggered by Donald Trump that they don't see the opportunity, as you have laid it out here, for Donald Trump and Javier Milei to be super friends. Many libertarians here in the United States even hate Javier Milei. They despise Javier Milei because of the actions that he's taken. Some of it has to do with the foreign policy beef, and then others of it has to do with their arguments that he hasn't dollarized or other things like that. So they're enemies of Javier Milei. But why is it so many people who espouse the same ideas that you and I do, Alejandro, don't see the opportunity of a Trump-Milei alliance, and they're voting against it?
Well, it's very interesting, and thank you for telling me about Reason. I chair a foundation that supports Reason magazine, but we have been concerned about Reason Foundation. I thought that their CEO, David did not suffer from TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, but if that's what you say, it's true. Again, and there are many weaknesses in Donald Trump. Franklin Graham yesterday basically said, look, if Jesus is not in the ballot, you're always voting for the second best. And some of these ideologues who are basically tied to their own doctrine and dogmas, anyone who doesn't rise to the standards, they are bad. Now, I honestly think that what you're seeing in this criticism is smokescreen, because what they don't like for Javier Milei is basically that he doesn't align with the most totalitarian culture today. There's a woke culture being pushed by the major corporations, the World Economic Forum, you name it, Milei is strongly pro-life. He even added statements about pro-life in speeches that they were preferred for him. He says this bloody, tragedy of abortion. He sides in the West. He sides with the United States and especially with Israel. Even with today's United States, he would prefer today United States than to side with our major evil actors in the world like China, Iran, and Russia. But basically, I think that they are using as an excuse, that all this weaknesses in the economic sphere. My biggest concern, for example, with Milei has been some of the appointment in rule of law. Nothing more difficult than to recover the institutions of justice, as because that they evolved slowly. The free market depends on the security of contracts and equality before the law. And it has been difficult, that area for Javier Milei. So Milei is someone who they cannot control. And in many positions in the government, he has appointed people who basically, tend to have conservative values, but prefer freedom to solve those problems. But from environment to foreign relations, from the religious worship, he's a person who promotes freedom. I think he is a libertarian more than conservative. He defines himself as an anarcho-capitalist, but I leave that in theory. I would like to go with less government as possible. But again, he cannot be controlled by the typical powers, and the typical donors that support part of the libertarian movement in the United States.
It's a shame. And Alejandro, I'll follow up with you on this. I sent you the article of who all of the Reason staffers were voting for this year. Not a single Trump voter. You had Kamala Harris voters, you had Chase Oliver voters, you had non-voters, but nary a single one, which just leads me to wonder why, there isn't more ideological diversity over there. It doesn't strike me as really representative of the libertarian movement in the United States to a large part. I can understand not loving Donald Trump, but to see Kamala Harris as somehow superior in libertarian values strikes me as a bit odd. So take a look at that article. One last question that I want to ask you before we go, Alejandro. This is closer to home. I'm reading this in CNBC.com. This was a headline yesterday. Donald Trump's tax plans could exempt 93 million Americans from income taxes. So makes me wonder why there isn't a single Reason staffer who's interested in this. Donald Trump's tax reform ideas could leave roughly 93.2 million Americans off the hook. They're saying it like it's a bad thing. Trump has proposed eliminating taxes on tips and Social Security benefits and said he would think about exemptions for firefighters, police, and military personnel. How do you react to that?
Again, I think there are many excuses that people use to be anti-Trump. And to be fair, I don't like the word tariffs. It's an Arab word, in Spanish, Arab word, but everyone has used it sometimes as a tool. Even Ludwig von Mises recommended retaliatory tariffs against the enemies of Austria, okay, when he was an economist working in real terms. Now, I'm leaving some of those criticism also. I do not know what will happen with monetary policy. I'm one of my colleagues in the Chase Foundation board. Stephen Moore is very close to President Trump, and I will use all my gunpowder after the election. I'm not affiliated with any political party, but again, there are legitimate criticism that you can use, as you can use against Milei, against any leader in the world. But again, I think the essential battle, Austin, today is not so much the economics that I studied in the university. I can go to any part of the world, any university, and speak about tariffs, inflation, correct, taxation, whatever, and nothing happens. The moment I speak the truth about the human person and how important what's happening in your life, having a new human being and growing up and nurturing a human being and bonds with your culture, with your audience. There's a culture that wants to completely turn us into an individual and a number. And the socialists know that if we turn into a number, the many win. And part of the corporate world loves it. They love to have people that you will own nothing and you will be happy. No cars, no family, no church, and move you around. So it's a weird coalition. I just can't believe seeing Cheney and Kamala Harris together. And on the other side, I feel so good because I have many leftist friends who are wonderful, loving people. And I feel sort of liberated siding with someone like Bobby Kennedy or Tulsi Gabbard. It's so crazy.
It is crazy. It is. Yeah. Tulsi Gabbard and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., not people that I thought I would be teaming up with this year. But then they've, like you say, they've got Dick Cheney and they've got Liz Cheney over on their sides. So it's just it's unbelievable, like the political situation in the United States. Alejandro, we're at 9 a.m., so I've got to cut it off. I want to give you an opportunity. And since the audience, we're number one on X right now. We've got 3,000. Maybe 4,000 if we continue. Rumble's got 900 people, maybe 4,000 people tuning in. I can't recommend my friend Alejandro enough over on X.com, where you can follow him at Chafuen, his last name, Chafuen. Please follow him for more updates and what's happening on Latin America. Was there anything else, Alejandro, that you'd like to share with our audience or plug before we let you go?
It's crazy. Again, I fell first in love with liberty, then with God, so that it's a gift, but for those who listen and pray, again, there's a long tradition of Catholic libertarians from Bastiat onwards. I ask you, say a little prayer, about focus on what you can do personally to make this world a little bit better, and say a little prayer for freedom in America and beyond.
We will do that. We'll say a little prayer, Alejandro. Thank you very much. Yes, Catholic libertarianism. That's something we should talk about on another show. Thank you for covering what's happening in South America with us, Alejandro. Thank you for your friendship. And of course, thank you for staying strong in the fight for liberty. We hope you have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Thank you. Chafuen. Thank you very much for joining us on the Wake Up America show today. It's been an absolutely fantastic show. I went a little bit over into overtime. Just an FYI, we do have the bonus content, and I am going to play it. Thank you to everybody who donated. There is so much exciting stuff happening over here. Tonight, 7 p.m. Central Time, Culturama, rumble.com/Culturama. You want to see Daniela Pensac's new show. It's part of my For Liberty network that we launched last week, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays is the Culturama schedule at the same time. And then right after Culturama on Thursdays is Liberty Tonight. So follow both of their Rumble pages, rumble.com/Culturama and rumble.com/Liberty Tonight. If that's hard to remember and you don't want to type all that stuff, you can just find everything at the umbrella for the network. It's just forlibертynetwork.com. If that's easier for you, I know it is. Thank you, guys. As you exit, we have a saying that you exit through the gift shop. Did you see all those awesome Javier Milei products that I pulled up on the screen, like the La Fuerza sta Cielo, the hats that you can get at our shop and nowhere else? Las Fuerzas de Cielo, the forces of heaven. I even have it in English. Forces of heaven. Javier Milei gear sold exclusively at forlibertyshop.com. Elon Musk's dark MAGA hats, those are our number one seller right now. Everybody wants them. You can get dark MAGA hats at forlibertyshop.com.
From now on, it's going to be America first, okay? America first.
We love it. We love it. We want to make America great again. We want Elon Musk to head the Department of Government Efficiency. We'd like to afuera the IRS here in the United States. So if you'd like to be a part of that one, then make sure that you're following us here and support Rumble, our sponsors. Rumble is only possible thanks to our viewers supporting Rumble's platform by purchasing their products, just like you do mine. That's why you got to try their coffee. $17.75 coffee. It's some of the best coffee, and it's the same price as the coffee you buy now, but it's way better. They're free of chemicals, but rich in flavor. Join the coffee revolution and brew rebellion with Rumble's $17.75 coffee. You can go to 1775coffee.com, use the code STUDIO, and get a free month's supply of their cognitive boosting supplement Limitless when you buy 2 bags of their coffee. That's a crazy deal, and its supplement is worth more than the 2 bags of coffee. Go to 1775coffee.com. Try Rumble's amazing coffee. Thank you, Rumble. Appreciate you guys. You've made it possible. You've made it possible to support the Wake Up America show financially. The purchases people make at Rumble and over at forlibertyshop.com. All of the Rumble rants. You guys, you're the real MVPs. Number 1 on X. I think we had... Let's see where we ended the show today, just real quick before we go. 3,000 people over on X. Good God, man. 3,000 people on X watching live. 840 people watching us over on Rumble. If I had the energy, guys, trust me, I would do it, but I got a busy schedule today of freedom fighting left to go, so I've got to run. Make sure you come back here tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central Time, and of course, I've seen most of you guys here at Culturama tonight, right? It's a lot to remember. I get it. So we'll just cut it off, and we'll see you tomorrow morning or tonight on Culturama. Bye, guys.
To the Wake Up America show's bonus content. Thank you for your financial support. A small group of patriotic individuals contributing their treasure have made this show one of the top shows on X for weeks now. Let's look at the story of the FBI's quiet revision of its 2022 crime numbers, adding fuel to an argument between Harris and Trump. In the ongoing presidential campaign, crime statistics have become a battleground between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Trump claims that violent crime has surged since he left office, while Harris argues Americans are now safer under the Biden administration. The Trump campaign points to sources like the National Crime Victimization Survey, NCVS, to support the claim of rising violent crime, though this survey doesn't track homicides. Harris, however, references FBI data, which initially showed a decrease in violent crime. Recently, the FBI revised its 2022 crime numbers, shifting from a reported decrease to an increase in violent crime. This change has sparked doubts about the reliability of FBI statistics, raising questions about future data. Critics argue the FBI's lack of transparency with the revision makes it difficult to trust their numbers. Skepticism remains about whether similar shifts might occur in 2023 or 2024 data, despite a projected drop in crime rates. Organizations like Datalytics and the Council on Criminal Justice report a decline in violent crime across various metrics, including homicide, which contradicts Trump's claims of skyrocketing homicides. The FBI and other sources indicate a consistent drop in homicides compared to 2020. However, 2023 homicide numbers are still higher than those from 2019, complicating arguments about recent crime trends. The NCVS reports a significant increase in violent crime victimization from 2020 to 2023. This divergence from FBI data highlights challenges in understanding the true scope of crime changes. Factors like reduced crime reporting and police staffing issues may contribute to discrepancies between NCVS and FBI numbers. Some areas only respond to crimes in progress, affecting official reports. The NCVS and FBI cover different time frames, which might explain past variations between their crime statistics. This temporal difference also complicates comparisons, as seen in 2020's conflicting data. In 2022, a drop in crimes reported to police was noted, but by 2023, reporting rates rose. The NCVS suggests overall violent victimization rates fell, potentially aligning more with FBI data. Historically, both NCVS and FBI data have shown similar crime trends over decades, suggesting potential convergence despite recent discrepancies. Crime rates have broadly declined since the 1990s. Homicides have significantly decreased from the peak in 2020, aligning with general crime decline trends reported by multiple sources. However, attributing these trends to presidential actions is complex. Crime control largely falls under state and local jurisdictions, making it difficult to credit or blame federal leadership for changes in national crime rates. While crime statistics are a key issue in political narratives, both campaigns may oversimplify the data to fit their arguments, ignoring the nuanced reality of crime trends. The debate on crime data reflects broader political strategies where statistical narratives are leveraged to bolster campaign messages and sway public opinion. Understanding the complexities behind crime data is crucial for voters to grasp the full picture beyond the simplified narratives presented in political campaigns. Ultimately, the discussion on crime statistics underscores the importance of transparency and accuracy in reporting, enabling informed decision-making by the public. As the presidential campaign unfolds, crime data will likely remain a focal point, with each side using numbers to validate their stance on safety and leadership. In a landscape where statistics can be interpreted in various ways, the challenge remains to discern the truth amidst conflicting narratives.
Haunted by high prices and big government? Don't be a ghost of your former self this Halloween. We've got shirts that'll keep the ghouls and the government off your back. Inflation's scarier than any haunted house, but hey, why not turn it into a costume? Or how about our spooky government shirt? Guaranteed to spook anyone who's afraid of too much power. But if you're feeling real edgy, nothing says Halloween like our Michael Myers No Lives Matter shirt. Cause when it comes to big government, we all get slashed. At 4libertyshop.com, we believe in freedom, not fear. So grab your libertarian Halloween gear before the government takes an extra bite out of your wallet. Or your candy. 4libertyshop.com. Let's make Halloween tax-free.
Hello, this is Barack Obama, and let me tell you why Austin Peterson stinks, and you should never pay attention to anything that he has to say. First of all, he's a libertarian, and we all know libertarians are idiots. They don't realize how important government is to everything that we do. I recently became aware that Austin has opened up a libertarian shop at apforlibertyshop.com. Now, I'm asking you as a personal favor to me that you never ever visit apforlibertyshop.com With all of the great liberty merchandise there, the last thing that we need to do is to get people spreading this message around the country, because then they might start thinking that they don't need government. And that's the last thing that good Democrats like us want. So if you love democracy, like me, and hate freedom, then don't visit AP for Liberty Shop. Like I said, whatever you do, do not visit apforlibertyshop.com. I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.